Hey there guys, this is Sam
and Justin
at the Survival Review, and today we are going to be talking about the sequel to The Exorcist that matters, The Exorcist III, because 2 didn't happen.
No, nobody gives a crap about 2. 2 sucks.
Yeah, it just blows.
Yeah.
But 3 is legitimately one of the most underrated horror films, horror sequels of all time.
Yes. The movie is written and directed by William Peter Blatty, who wrote the novel The Exorcist, and wrote the screenplay for the first film. And this is based off of his novel Legion, which is a sequel to The Exorcist.
Yeah.
So this movie feels a lot more in line with the original film. Despite not being directed by William Friedkin and directed by Blatty, instead it still has that eerie vibe from the first film, but it's telling its own story. The movie almost feels like a spin-off, in a way, to the original, because it's not about Reagan, it's not even about demonic possession, really, until you get to the ending.
Yeah, which was kind of tacked on.
Yeah, it's its own eerie serial killer kind of horror thriller that also just happens to have characters from the original Exorcist in it.
Exactly.
Really.
So it ties in, but feels like its own film. That isn't just a rehash of the first movie at all.
No. Because the movie follows Lieutenant Kinderman, who was the detective in the original Exorcist. Him and Father Dyer, who's the priest in the first film, Father Karras' friend, they're good friends, and it's been 15 years after the events of the first film. And every year around this time, they kind of get depressed because of the events of the first film.
Yeah.
And they always go see It's a Wonderful Life together.
They want to be happy.
Yeah.
That's a happy movie.
And while that's going on, this murder happens. This dead body shows up on this dock. And it turns out that this death has all the markings of the Gemini killer.
Which is a killer who has been dead.
They're just really baffled because this has all the markings, even the stuff that they never actually officially released to the public about the Gemini killer is with this victim. So it's like, it can only be him, but he fried in the electric chair all those years ago.
So how could this possibly be happening?
Yes. And then, at this mental hospital, they find out that there's been this patient, this like unnamed patient, who they found off the streets, who's sitting in there, who claims to be the Gemini killer.
But for years he's been catatonic and hasn't really said anything. Only recently has he come out of like dormancy to actually start talking about how he's bragging, how he's killed these people.
Yeah. So Kinderman goes to talk to him, and it turns out that for some reason that inmate looks like Father Karras.
It's a wonderful life.
So he's trying to figure out what's going on, like who's really doing these murders, because it can't be this guy who's been in this mental hospital all this time, and why does he look like Father Karras? So there's a lot of elements in that. It's kind of this mystery, this crime thriller that is also supernatural. And what really works about this movie is all the actors' performances are all great. George C. Scott playing Lieutenant Kinderman, he's a classic actor, all the way back to Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He's really funny, actually, at
He
times.
is.
He has some good, quirky dialogue. He's also really funny because he has a lot of random outbursts where he just freaks out.
It is not in the file. It is not.
He's one of those guys that's just very no-nonsense about certain things and likes to explode when he's frustrated.
Yeah, and that stuff's great. We do get Jason Miller back as Father Karras throughout those scenes.
And he really, really is great in this as well.
Yeah. He's playing a different type of role. He's not playing Father Karras, he's playing a possessed type of character. So I like seeing him play that different type of role. It was really cool, and I like having him in the movie. But the best part of the movie is, for most of the scenes, when Kinderman is in the cell with the Gemini killer, it's actually not Father Karras, it's Brad Dourif.
Who is just fantastic.
Oh my god, he is amazing in this movie.
He really is.
He is inside with us. He will never get away. His pain won't end.
And he steals the show. All of his scenes are incredible. You really believe that he believes that he's a Gemini killer. And that's one of the best parts of the movies. Every time they're just in the cell talking. It's really great dialogue. Beautifully written, really well written, and a lot of great stuff. This movie moves at its own pace.
Yeah.
It's a little slow at times, and if you go into this movie expecting an Exorcist type of movie, you'd be really disappointed. I can see somebody find this on a shelf and oh, Exorcist, I'll check that out, and a half hour in being what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like an Exorcist movie.
No, there's a lot of talking. You can definitely tell the movie was directed by a writer.
Yeah.
But it works really well.
But it has a style to it that
It does.
It's very memorable.
Without a doubt.
And it sticks with you. Not as much as, say, the original Exorcist. It doesn't have that, really uncomfortable vibe of the first Exorcist, but
it's
it has...
not quite as gritty as the first one, but it's still
more
has
polished,
its own...
Hollywood polished, but it has an eerie vibe to it that sticks with you throughout the film. The movie also has probably the best jump scare in a movie.
Yep.
which is just amazing.
Which is an amazing thing to say because most jump scares kind of suck.
Yeah, but this one has incredible build-up.
Yes.
Just this one static shot just builds up to it, and then when it happens, it's like it makes you jolt.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's so well done.
It's probably the most memorable jump scare I've seen in a film.
There's a lot of great memorable images in this movie, like the old lady crawling on the ceiling, those giant clippers, whatever that was.
Yep, the huge, like shiny, polished clippers.
Yeah, that was awesome. Just a lot of memorable stuff to this movie that makes it great. But one of the things to bring up with this movie is that a lot was changed, not during production, after the movie was shot.
Yep.
Because the original version of this movie was very close to the novel Legion.
Yes.
And the studio wasn't too happy with that. Because Legion is not, like we said, not really an Exorcist sequel.
There's not even an exorcism.
No, there is no exorcism in that story. And the studio didn't like that. They ended up having them change the name from Legion to Exorcist III, which is one of the dumbest marketing decisions ever.
Yeah.
Because everybody hates Exorcist II. So why would you want to go see a movie called Exorcist III?
Yes. It was a really dumb choice.
Yeah. And they also had them shoot an exorcism scene.
Yes.
So they added this whole new character into this movie, this priest. And on a technical level, all that stuff with the priest is fine. It fits the tone of the movie. It doesn't feel tacked on.
They did a good job of adding him in without it feeling just
too obvious.
tossed in.
Yeah. But story-wise, that stuff doesn't work.
No.
Because not only does that character not have like any interaction with like any of the characters in the movie until the ending, but you never really find out like how does he know that Father Karras is inside that body? Like nobody was talking about that. How did he get permission to perform the exorcism? It all just happens out of nowhere. All of a sudden he's in the mental hospital in the uniform ready to perform an exorcism. Mm-hmm. Well, to be honest, the reveal of that was kind of badass. Like just all of a sudden the doors opens and the camera zooms out and he's standing there.
Yeah.
That was pretty sick. So but
it doesn't make a ton of sense.
It doesn't really make any sense at all. And that character doesn't really feel necessary to the plot because he doesn't have any real interaction with other characters. Mm-hmm. Then you get to the actual exorcism scene, which on a technical level is pretty good. Yeah. It's really well done. Though what I found really weird about it is the actual beginning of it when the priest is like, throwing holy water at him, stuff like that. It feels very cut. Very like a lot of stuff was missing. Yeah. Which doesn't make any sense why they would go through the effort of making this whole new sequence, but then cut it. Because it felt kind of jumbled. I felt like pieces were missing. Which there are. I know. There's this shot in one of the trailers where you see Gemini Killer doing this like face morph, which was cut out from the movie. Maybe they just didn't have time to finish it, but it just seems really weird that like they went to the whole effort of this really well done sequence, but it feels cut. Mm-hmm. But the tone of that exorcism scene doesn't really match the rest of the movie because the rest of this movie is very subtle. It's slow, not effects heavy. Every once in a while there might be a little interesting effect here and there, but no real effects, no real over-the-top gore or anything. And then the climax is this huge special effects thing with like lightning and like snakes everywhere and like people's skin ripping off. So it does not match the tone that the movie set.
It sort of feels like it just comes out of nowhere, and it feels strange.
It does feel very unnecessary. But aside from the reshoot stuff, it's a really damn good movie.
Yeah, it actually really, really is, aside from those not even huge gripes. There's so much positives to outweigh the negatives.
It's a very unique story that you don't really know where it's going, because it's not your typical just like, person's possessed, we have to perform an exorcism. Yeah. It's just a weird psychological thing with Father Karras, but it's not Father Karras, it's the Gemini Killer, but it's also not that. Which just kind of lead to one kind of little issue. One of the things I don't really understand is that, like, what do other people see the killer as? Yeah. Because, like, Kinderman sees him as Father Karras. But do other people see him as Brad Dourif or something? I don't understand that.
I'm not sure. I kind of think they see him as Brad Dourif.
Yeah, there's a few things that aren't explained. There's also some of the little faults with the film. There are a few aspects here and there that aren't really delved into as much and isn't explained. Some of the continuity between this and the first film aren't perfect, despite it being written by the same guy. Because in the first movie, Kinderman and Father Karras, they have one scene together. And they have a fun interaction, a good back and forth. They have good chemistry, but that's all you ever see in that movie. And then all of a sudden in this movie, they're best friends.
Yes.
Father Karras was a Jesuit psychiatrist at Georgetown University. Man was a saint. He was my best friend. I loved him.
There was no time in the first Exorcist movie for them to become best friends.
No.
It doesn't make any sense. There's that like picture of like them two together. Mm-hmm. It's like that, and you're like, that never happened in the first movie.
No.
But those elements aside, it still really works. And it's a very unique horror film.
Yeah, it's by no means perfect,
No.
but it's really, really entertaining.
So out of 10,
Out of 10, I'd have to give the movie an 8 out of 10.
I'm going to go 8.5 out of 10.
Again, not a perfect movie. I have some gripes with it.
Actually, what's funny is Samuel L. Jackson actually appears in the movie. He's
Yeah.
just there, and his voice is dubbed over by somebody else.
Yeah!
The living are dead.
And Fabio.
There's some weird, interesting little things.
Yeah, random cameos in the movie. Like Larry King has a cameo in one scene. He's like in the diner in the background. Don't see Exorcist 2 or any of the other ones, the prequel movies that were made. Just see Exorcist 3. It's a good companion piece to the original.
Yeah.
Like, I watched these movies back to back, actually, and they work pretty well together. One thing, though, to note, though, that does help this experience of this movie is watching the extended cut of the first film. Because the ending scene with Kinderman and Father Dyer was actually added into the extended cut. And that scene kind of shows, like, the start of their friendship, which plays right into the beginning of this film. And that's what kind of makes this a really good companion piece to the original.
So that's The Exorcist 3. Really, really great sequel.
Yes.
Just
Very underrated.
definitely. And next time we're going to be talking about another fantastic sequel.
Yeah,
One
a classic one, though.
A very classic one going way back to the wonderful Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes.
So until then, we'll see you guys later.